Speaking of pricey, though, no one is more expensive on the main slate than Colts running back Jonathan Taylor, guys. $9,200. Reid, start me off here. Chase or fade? He scores a touchdown in his 10th straight game, and he's worth every penny against the Texans.
Well, there's two parts of that question. I think I'm going to chase the touchdown, but fade that he's worth the $9,200. I mean, like you mentioned it, when is it ever a smart play to pay the most expensive guy? And we've seen when you pay up for the most expensive player, like the Christian McCaffreys of the world, especially at running back, they can get dinged up and be out of the game. I'm not saying that's the case. And Jonathan Taylor is someone who's been doing this fairly often, where he gets you these absolute monster games. And last season, he put up an average of 20 DK fantasy points against Houston in two matchups. I think he has to score twice to get to this number. And I think, he's done that before. And I know he's capable of doing it, but I think the smart play is to go down to Eckler or Mixon. I think that game is the one you want to attack. And Jonathan Taylor, if he's going to be like 5% roster because it's too expensive, then yeah, of course it's a smart play. But $9,200 right now for a guy that they might not necessarily need down the stretch in this game, I'm going to fade that.
Okay, Pearce, what's a smart play here? Paying up for Jonathan Taylor or going elsewhere?
I would pay up. I'll chase based on his talent, based on the matchup. I know that there is concerns that maybe Indianapolis blows them out and he doesn't get enough action in the second half. And that's an interesting what if. But even if that's the case, who's likely going to lead to that blowout? Who's going to put the points on the board that gives the Colts the comfortable margin where they can rest him? It's likely going to be Jonathan Taylor. In the goal line, we have seen Taylor get goal line work all season long, and it makes sense. Do you want Carson Wentz you want him throwing the ball around inside the goal line with his propensity to make mistakes and turn the ball over? Just continue feeding Jonathan Taylor. We know that he'll get you over 100 yards volume-wise as long as it's a normal game. He's also active in the passing game this season. As I already mentioned, the goal line work. And the Texans allow the most adjusted yards to running backs at 4.8 yards per carry. That's just to regular running backs. What can Jonathan Taylor do to this team? I will pay for it.
Dude, Jeff, he had nearly 32 DK fantasy points against Houston back in week 6, too.
Yeah, all that was in the second half, though. It was a weird game where Taylor was almost ignored the entire first half of that game. He doesn't get Derrick Henry volume, and I wish he would, but the one time he did against Buffalo, we saw what happened. But, if I'm far more inclined to chase at a high-priced running back than I am a high-priced quarterback, and especially one in this instance here with Taylor. I think the squeaky wheel gets the grease. We saw how he got ignored for 25-plus snaps last week. That's not going to happen this week. I think he's going to get fed regularly early on in this game. I know Houston in the last 4 weeks hasn't been as pliant against running backs, but look at who they were going against. Miami. They were going against Tennessee without Derrick Henry. Last week, the Jets without Michael Carter. I think that Jonathan Taylor gets well against the Texans. I think they try to go to him early. I think I'm inclined to chase this price.